I just bought the strangest laptop I have ever seen. The OLPC X04, which stands for one laptop per child. This laptop was designed to be a cost-effective device that could be used by children in impoverished nations around the world. Before we open up the package, I'd like to tell you that today's video is brought to you by Squarespace, an all-in-one platform for creating great-looking websites and online stores. Anyway, let's see if it survived the shipping. I found a seller on eBay that listed 7 of these machines. It cost me 59 Australian dollars, which equates to 37 US dollars. For my money, I got a power supply and a green accented laptop. Lifting the Shrek ears allowed me to open it up, revealing the very small keyboard. I only just realized this, but the screen can swivel all the way around, turning it into a rather chunky looking tablet. Thankfully, the battery seems to hold a charge. I was rather surprised to see it boot into Android. Once I got connected to our Wi-Fi network, I tried to use Google Chrome. This was surprisingly fluid, however, trying to play a YouTube video seemed to make it crash. The next application I tried was the Google Play Store, which worked after a quick update. Even though this is a really old version of Android, 4.3 Jelly Bean to be specific, it allowed me to install the up-to-date YouTube app, which yielded decent video playback. Now, I bet you're wondering what's inside one of these budget-orientated laptops. Well, so am I. Thankfully, the OLPCs are quite easy to disassemble, requiring only a Phillips head screwdriver. Here we've got the infrared touch sensor, which gives the screen touch functionality. 4 screws hold the rubber-mounted 7.5-inch dual-mode TFT display in place. We'll touch on the rather cool abilities of this screen later in the video. There are 2 ribbon cables that have to be released so I can detach the screen. To remove the back panel, 4 more screws have to be removed. Then it just slides off, revealing the main board with a large heatsink for passive cooling. To take the cooling plate off, I then removed, you guessed it, 4 more screws. Now we can see all of the circuitry in its naked glory. This particular model has 8GB of NAND flash memory soldered directly to the motherboard. It also features an SD card slot, a removable 802.11bg wireless LAN module, and 1GB of DDR3 memory, all of which is built around a dual-core 1GHz ARM processor housed in a laptop that looks like Shrek. To dissipate the heat, there's a thermal pad which is still quite malleable, so I'll leave it intact. Before we put it back together, I cleaned off the CPU die, so we can get a good look at the Marvell XPA 2128. This seemingly low-powered hardware was used to make sure that the X04 could be as cost-effective as possible. Now the reassembly process can begin. For such a cheap device, I'm glad it's very easy to take apart. I really wish modern devices were built in this fashion. Now, I think it's time we give the device a good cleaning, starting off with a dab of eucalyptus oil. An antibacterial solution should definitely be used to clean any secondhand electronics that you buy. Even though I touched the screen quite a lot, there are barely any signs of fingerprints. After a gentle wipe with some lens cleaner and a microfiber cloth, it looked really nice. I really think this laptop has an iconic design, one that I like very much. Powering it back up, it thankfully still works. Before we see just what this laptop is capable of, I'd like to show you just how good your website could look using today's sponsor, Squarespace. If you've ever wanted to create your own website but don't have experience with design or coding, why not try today's sponsor, Squarespace? I've only ever made terrible websites back in high school, and I was amazed just how easy it was to create a professional looking site. If you've ever wanted to start an e-commerce business, Squarespace also offers you templates, secure payment methods, and merchandising features for the products you'd like to sell online. Head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch your site, go to squarespace.com/psivrai to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. One of the coolest features of the display is its visibility in sunlight, as well as bright lighting conditions. It'll use the ambient light to display the image in a very sharp black and white mode. Here it is compared to my OLED screen on my S9 Plus on maximum brightness. First, we're trying a popular mobile game called Angry Birds. This is quite laggy, I must say. Not exactly what I'd call playable. Another game I want to test is the Android version of Minecraft. Using the purely touch-based interface kinda sucks, as the infrared touchscreen only allows for 2 inputs at a time. But we're forgetting that this laptop is a laptop, and as such has a keyboard and mouse. This still isn't ideal, as you've got to drag the mouse cursor around. The thing is, this laptop didn't originally ship with Android. It came pre-installed with OLPC OS, which is built on top of the Fedora flavor of Linux. I put the 750 megabyte installer on a USB and began the installation. A short time later, it was done. I put in my name and details, then it was ready to use. It turned out that there was a newer version I could have installed, but considering it would take 7 hours to download, I think we'll be fine with 13.2.8. The Sugar software package has lots of neat programs for young people. Being able to play piano using the built-in keyboard was quite cool. But definitely not easy. How about a bit of Metallica? I did also try hooking it up to a USB MIDI keyboard, but it didn't seem to do anything sadly. It's interesting that there are a number of simple built-in games, such as this Maze one. Interestingly enough, you can switch to the more traditional GNOME Linux desktop environment. It's pretty stripped back compared to most Linux distributions. I decided to focus on the educational Sugar OS, which was really easy to get updates for all the programs.
What are you doing in my swamp?
So, not only does it look like Shrek, but you can also make it sound like Shrek.
Subscribe to Ivory.
Wait, that's not how you're supposed to say it.
Subscribe to PC Right.
Yeah, that's right. Do what the Shrek book says. If you ever wanted to show off your artistic abilities, there's also a simple drawing program. I also found it neat that there's a stripped down offline version of Wikipedia on here. This game is called Implode. It's a straightforward color matching game, similar to Candy Crush. There's also this cool physics application which I had lots of fun playing. In areas where Wi-Fi reception is poor, these external green antennas should help. Even when I browsed the web in our backyard, the connection strength was great. When it comes to typing on such a small keyboard, my experience as an adult wasn't all that favourable. It can be done, but I constantly found myself making mistakes and missing spacebar clicks. The OLPC brand is the brainchild of Nicholas Negroponte, and the exact laptop I have here is the latest EXO model that's been released. Even this is about 7 years old though. As far as I know, you can still buy these brand new, but it doesn't seem like much is happening with the brand anymore, sadly. The low-powered hardware actually means this thing gets very good battery life, and in a lot of developing nations, electricity is still a luxury, so they actually sold an optional hand crank accessory. I'm not kidding, there was a physical hand crank you could use to charge this laptop. Apparently it's supposed to cost about $13. The link it directs you to doesn't exist anymore, so good luck actually getting one of these hand cranks. While it may seem like a very novel device to many, to some, this is all the technology they had. It enabled them to connect to the outside world, take photos, play games, and learn to type. These definitely don't seem to come up for sale very often, at least in Australia, and I was quite lucky to pick one of these up from eBay.
Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like, and if you want to see more, definitely consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next video.